Okay, hello everybody on the video. This is training for DMS. We're going to talk about scheduling. We're going to do an overview of scheduling today. Okay, we're going to talk about construction schedules and just go in depth about what the value of construction schedules, different types of construction schedules. At the end of this video, you'll know about master schedules, pull planning, 3-week look-ahead schedules, how to create your own schedules, the templates that we use that adhere as a company, how to manage your own individual schedule on a project to bring it into the whole company, looking at overview of the whole company and the value of why that's important. Okay. So first thing we're going to talk about is scheduling software. So when anybody makes a schedule, there's some key ones out there. Microsoft Project's real popular with general contractors that they use Microsoft Project, or they'll use Primavera, which is now I think they're rebranding it, calling it P6. So I've been on Project. They'll say, do you have a P6 schedule? Do you have the project schedule? Microsoft Project. This is software that allows you to put in information and will create that. You can also create it with Excel sheets. You can watch tutorials how to create project schedules, and I think I sent that on tips and tricks. I think I sent something out in regards to that. And then this other part is the last planner system. And we're going to talk about that more at the end of the presentation. For the last planner system, this was very static, very top-down, and they wanted to have more dynamic and more collaborative way to do that. They've now come up with different software. TouchPlan and vPlanner have come up with different software on how to manage schedules so that everybody can use it to manage tasks and keep everybody informed, you know, if you're on track, which ones are critical, identifying constraints, anything that's stopping progress. So these are kind of the big four that are out there. And again, Excel's another way to do it. So these are the softwares that make the schedule. Now let's actually just kind of overview what the schedule is. So whenever you go into a schedule, the first thing you're going to want to look at is scope. So what are all the different kinds of scopes that are out there? For us, in regards to carpentry or building, you've got exterior framing, interior framing, drywall, insulation, fire stopping, joints and sealants, shafts, tapes and finishing, lath, plaster, spray-on fireproofing, millwork, cabinetry, rough carpentry, structural framing, acoustical, ceiling tile, etc. So depending on whatever scope it is, those are going to identify your different activities that you need to look at on the schedule, and each one of these has a different subset of activities for you to accomplish. Procuring material, different types of material, from finished material to rough material, from reveals in regards to drywall or reveals in regards to plaster systems, different insurances, whole different ways of installing all this. So easy way to relate to this is all these are games. You can think of these are games of activities. I go, that's basketball, football, baseball, chess, checkers, backgammon. So what I don't want you to do is get overwhelmed with all this. And we're going to focus in on just a few, but just know that there are different activities that you have to do in order to do this. So just getting familiar with the construction industry and how things get assembled and put together and kind of the critical members, we're going to go through that. So let's just focus on, we're just focusing in on the interior framing, drywall, taping, and finishing. So we're just going to kind of look at that today. And from there, everything else follows the same path that we're talking about, just some gets more elaborate. It all just depends on what the project is, because each project's a little bit different. So first thing you look at is in regards to scope. Next piece that you're going to look at on your project, how is your project broken down? How is your project set up? Is there area or phasing in it? You know, you're going to go first floor, second floor, third floor, or are you going to go third floor and then come back down to 1 and 2? In San Francisco, there's not a lot of extra area to lay down material, so we'll usually build from the second or third floor and build up and leave the bottom floor to get materials in, because there's nowhere to stick it. So you use that as the area underneath, feed it up through, and then put that on part last. Okay, so knowing how your building is going to be put together in a sequence, or if there's areas or phasing, getting a sense of that is important. So in this example, with CPMC Davie South Tower, they have a phasing plan. We'll talk more, but you'll see here there's phase 1, 4 rooms, phase 2, 2 rooms, phase 3, 2 rooms, phase 4, 2 rooms, and they're going to do it in chunks. This is the Gantt view of it. It says, okay, look, this is going to be a 90-day duration, 90-day, 90-day, 90-day. We're going to do here, then jump, do these 2, then do those 2, then do those 2. So this gives you a visual representation of that. So it's like, okay, this is going to be phased out. It's not going to be done till July of 2019. That's also important to know in regards to estimating aspect is labor rates increase. So when you're bidding it, well, if I bid it here, the guys are going to get raises out in the field here, so you're going to have more costs, labor costs, material costs, and stuff in the future. Okay, so let's look at how a schedule looks. So here's an example of a schedule that I took. This is for Zuckerberg, SF General. This is a preliminary schedule. You'll see over here. Let's just look kind of the format of how it's set up. Usually down at the bottom part of a schedule, this usually has the project name, legends and keys, you know, what all the different symbols and everything mean. Here's the project, usually has the date and what page number. This area here is the activity information. So this is where actually you want to be looking at to understand when do I start, when do I finish, what's my sequence of activities, what's the duration, when does it finish, how does that look, and then over in this area, this is the Gantt view area, so all this information gets spread out and pushed over here, and it's represented as bars. So start, finish, that creates a bar, duration, so that gives you your bar, and then each task are usually linked. The tasks become linked like train cars. It's like, okay, this is going to happen on this floor, then this is going to happen on this floor, and usually this has to go before that, and then they'll link it so that way they can duplicate their schedule and have everything move and flow so that people have an understanding of how things are going to happen. And so whenever you deal with a certain task, you're going to have predecessors, and then there's dependencies, things that are underneath you, and then there's a relationship between the tasks. So let's take a look at relationships between the tasks. Relationships between the tasks. In this example, you have 2 bar charts, two activities represented as a bar here. The start is always on the, in time is the earliest date. The relationship between these 2 tasks is start to start. Meaning that on the schedule, they said, well, how do you want these 2 to be linked? Well, this is going to start, and then you can put what they refer to as a lag time in there and say, as soon as I start this, 5 days later, you can start. So it's relationship start to start. I start, and 5 days later, you can start. Now, it doesn't mean I'm finished. I can keep going on and on and on. But you can start after I start, because I have to get some work done out ahead of you, let's say. So it's a start to start relationship. Then there's a start to finish relationship. Okay, I'm going to start, and as soon as I start, 10 days after I start, the next activity has to be finished by here. So that means that if this duration ever changes, so look, I don't care when you start, but this you have to be done by here, and I have to start this date, and this has to be done by this date. So you have different relationships that way.
The second phase has to be finished by that date?
This could be the phase or an activity. I'm trying to think of an example that I could give you to show you start to finish. Let me go through and see if one comes to mind, and we'll see that comes through. You have start to finish. This is very typical, or sorry, finish to start. As soon as I'm finished, once I'm done, now you can go. You can't go before I go because I'm in this area. Once I'm out, now you can go. That's what we saw in the other things. This goes like that. I need to put my underwear on before I put my pants on. That would work. In regards to start to finish, this gives the flexibility to say, well, I'm going to start on this date. This has to start because the way this duration is. But finish, if something's real flexible, let's say ordering cabinets or things like that, the procurement, saying, look, your procurement may happen differently, but it has to be finished by this date. So you're saying, look, I want the start to be linked to the finish, or I want the finish to be linked to my start because I'm going to have to do this. You could link the two together, go this to that. That's not very common that I've seen that, but just know that it's possible.
Okay.
Finish to finish is the other one. Okay, as soon as I'm finished, my finish date and your finish date's 10 days after my finish date. You may want to link the finish dates. It's not critical when you start, but it's critical maybe when you finish. Say, well, I have to finish, and as soon as I get finished, you then get finished, because the project might be at a certain place that both have to be ready. So this would be the activity group number 2 would be looking to that date. Electricians do it a lot with drywall. Drywall has to be finished at a certain date. They can pull wire and they can get everything set up, but they can't hit their end date until everything's complete. So they'll say, hey, look, when's your finish date? My finish date's going to be just like 2 days after your finish date. Right. I just need to know when your finish date because I'm going to plan to your finish date. So they're looking to plan to the finish date, not start the work. They go, I'm going to do everything. Just tell me when you're going to finish. I need 2 days after you finish. And that's what happens. I just need 2 days after you finished in order to do something. Okay. On a Gantt chart, in the Gantt view, you're going to see this black bar. It's called the summary bar. Summary bar takes all the items that are below it in a certain set of activities, and it just has you look to see what does it look like when you put all of it together. Okay. So let's jump in and look at the activity information. So I blew this up to look at the activities. So in this area, you're going to find, again, the activity ID, task name, duration, start, finish, and sequence. Okay, for activity ID, the activity ID, schedules can be huge. I mean, I've dealt with 200-page schedules. They can be pretty kind of massive. Every activity gets a label. So if I'm talking to a general contractor, talking to somebody, I'm saying, hey, framing on the 3rd floor, they're like, activity ID number 288. They're like, okay, I know exactly where to go, gives them there, and they can search for that way. The task name, here's the rub inside of construction. We have lots of different names for the exact same thing.
Sure, in different areas.
So in this example, it says hang sheetrock. On other schedules, it'll say hang gypsum board. So if you're trying to search and go with sheetrock or gypsum board or drywall, all three are the exact same thing. Hang, install, rock walls, close-up walls, all are different names for meaning the exact same activity. So knowing your activity name and the way the general contractor is referring to it is going to be critical so you can keep your eye out on the schedule so they can do it. And sometimes they interchange as they go through. Duration. So the duration is whenever you start and where you finish, that's how long your line is. This is a 3-day duration, 25-day duration, 15-day durations. Do the durations, are durations based on working days, calendar days? Working days or calendar days?
Working days.
That's right. Very good. They're based on working days. So whenever you look at a calendar, you may see stuff to go, oh, wait, this starts on 11/27 and it ends on 11/27. How's that one day?
One working day.
It's one working day that you start in the morning and you finish it that night. So that's counting as one day. Now, what happens at the end of November? Every year.
The end of November every year?
End of November every year, there's a holiday.
Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving, depending on when that happens, you'll see that when you look at these two dates to go, oh, my 10 days, but then you'll look at this calendar and go, oh, July 4th, big holidays, July 4th, New Year's Eve, Christmas, Thanksgiving. You'll look in here and you go, okay, well, it starts here, and 5 days from that, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm not starting till December 2nd.
Sure, because you're skipping the holiday.
Because the holidays got skipped and got pushed there that you don't see that. So that's don't be too confused if some of this stuff doesn't add up. It's because there's other things in the background that are operating, saying this isn't counted as a working day.
I'm sure they miss that sometimes too, right? Like they'll throw the holiday day in, but really they're not coming on Thursday, they're coming on Friday.
Usually the United States holidays aren't ever missed in a schedule. What is missed is union holidays.
Right.
The unions have different holidays. Electricians have certain days off. They have like Black Fridays off, and other unions don't have Black Fridays off. Some get an extra. Some get the Friday before Labor Day. Some get the Friday before Memorial Day. Some you're like, and a general contractor can't account for that. They go, look, we know that we're not working Easter Sunday. Okay, that's good. Okay, but are we working Monday? Or because Thanksgiving sometimes happens. Thanksgiving's always the Thursday. Christmas changes, right? Christmas moves. New Year's Day moves. So because of that, we're like, oh, how do we account for that? And there's also a thing they call rain days. So in their schedule, they do have some buffers to put in to do that. So consider holidays, weekends, off network. Sometimes on a project, your schedules may vary because they're considering it at night. And they might, okay, even though this says here, we're working the night of the 27th and ending on the 28th, but that's only one day. Okay, so I start on the 27th, but end on the 28th. It's one day. So you'll see calendar variances like that. So just getting an understanding, looking at the schedule and being able to understand it and interpret it is a critical piece. So in these activities, this refers to sequencing. Your schedules usually tell you the sequence of how they're going to build the building. So they're going to frame the walls, all required wall backing, then hang sheetrock, then insulate, then tape. Okay, can you insulate inside of a closed wall? Insulation needs to move in front of the drywall. So you can see in this example, insulation should go before the drywall, unless they're going to say only hang one side. But I have to look at this because it says it's 2 days, and it starts on the 19th and starts on the 19th. This ends on the 20th. So if you look at here, this in the sequence looks like it's not correct, but when you look at the dates, saying these 2 days happen inside of these 5 days. So you got 5 days to hang. Well, by the way, the insulators are going to be working the exact same time as you, and they're going to get in and start and finish before you finish. So this has to be sequenced to go, okay, you guys are going to be both working. Where are you going to start and where are you going to start? Because you have to stick the stuff inside the walls. So on the sheet, it looks like it's not in the right sequence, but when you look at the schedule, it's going to look, both these activities are starting at the same time, but this one's ending before that one, which means insulation goes inside of the walls. And they're using this just as a rough overview. Okay, hang sheetrock and tape usually has a finish to start relationship. In other words, I can't tape the walls until they're finished being hung. So this ends on the 27th, this starts on the 28th. The other thing to look at is in regards to durations. Which I think is the next slide. We're going to go into, I'm going to go further into the durations and what a common duration looks like in regards to the sequence of things. Okay, this is an overview of a master schedule. So there's a master schedule back here for Zerba, and here's another master schedule for the Los Medanos project. Mm-hmm. This one here, you can see they have a yellow line out framing to let you know that this is captured Los Medanos College. Then they have broken out in chunks. They have the administration, and then they have another chunk called testing. So you have subsets inside the schedule to have it do it. So all the activities under admin are ADM00. All the other activities are A's and SU's and all this. So you can get a sense of how they're doing their schedule by looking at it and saying, okay, how are they sequencing things? What's happening? And remember when I said there was that status bar? Mm-hmm. Usually these are the headers or titles. The status bars will tell you, and they'll tell you start to finish, your full duration. So this one's going to start here and finish here, but in all the activities, there's a whole dead space here, right? Nothing's happening, but this counts from beginning to the last activity. They have some rain days, and this gives you a general sense of flow. Construction usually always flows in the same way, in the same manner, productively in order to do that. If it's new construction. If it's tenant improvement, meaning it's an existing building, that's where things change because they may have to section off a certain area to build a certain area, build this first, then close it out, then go into that. SFO long-term parking. We already have a canopy. Build this half of the canopy, then come back and build this half of the canopy because they have to keep things moving and flowing. You see a lot with highway work too. You can't shut the whole highway both sides. Okay, we're going to shut this side down and then jump over and do this side to do repairs. Okay. So the overview of a master schedule you're going to see is they're looking from a high level looking, and you're going to see all these milestones, these like diamond shaped things. So milestones is what they're looking at, and there's normally a lot of pages. So this particular one has 44 pages of schedules to be reviewed. Again, this is for what the general contractor is giving to the owners and architects so that they understand how they're building the job. So they're not going to go through a certain level of granularity for, let's say, our scope of work, but they're going to have placeholders for it. But they're also going to have stuff of when they do submittals and when they do procurement and when they do stuff. So when you look through a schedule, you can get familiar what the general contractor deals with and then distill what we are actually doing. So this is a master schedule. So there's another type of schedule. 3-week look ahead or rolling schedules. The 3-week look ahead or rolling schedules are usually fewer pages because now you're down zoomed in to the project of what's actually happening in these 3 weeks. And there's a subcontractor meeting held every week to make sure that everybody's not working on top of each other, everybody's working safely. So your projects that you're going to be managing or that you are managing, being in tune with where your foreman's at and is he or she attending the meetings, and what's the information that's coming out of the meetings. So we see a lot with Paul Elliott with SFO. We're going to be seeing a lot with Los Dumps. Like, how is this going to move and shift? These schedules can document things so that you can see, well, I was anticipating being done at this time, and now we're not. This is where you'll hear Schmidt refer a lot to in regards to delays. These help to say, here was the original plan, and we have drifted far away from that plan, and there's cost implications because this has moved out so far. These are usually distributed during the meeting minutes. So usually on every project, there's a subcontractor meeting and a subcontractor meeting. General contractor has to distribute meetings. Here's what we discussed, and here's what was agreed to. When it's discussed and here's what's agreed to, here's the plan. Project management looks at you through those notes and looks at the schedule and identifies what we're trying to achieve. Okay, if something's not right, this is a spot where we get to respond, or at least let them know, hey, we don't think this is. We have to notify them if there's any variance or discrepancy that we don't agree with. Now, it's a lot to take on when you're managing 10 projects. Like, okay, if every foreman's attending a Monday subcontractor meeting, then that's 10 schedules you're going to get on Monday to review and understand. Different projects have different meetings on different days. So Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. So you got to just kind of be in tune with where the project's at, because if you wanted to influence anything, that's where you would input it at. It's from the meeting minutes, here's what's happening, and know what's going on. Okay, and if you notice it looks different, this one is done on an Excel sheet, but it has, here's activity areas, and then here's their headers broken out by areas. Student union building, that's going to be its own. Here's the site work, here's the student union building. Here's exterior framing, 618. That's us. That's our scope of work on this particular project. If there's any comments, they're waiting for these PCOs. They could say, look, this is going to impede the work. But similar to like a bar chart, they put X's in so you could just see kind of the flow. Like this happens and this happens, but they all need to be done by this. Some people are going to be working this on the 25th. That's one of the holidays, right? Isn't that what's coming up? Memorial Day? Right there, saying, hey, look, this is going to be happening on this Friday, and this is the Monday. Monday is going to be off. So you get kind of a sense of the bar chart. This is going to happen, and then it's going to jump all the way over here. So let's focus in on the tasks that we normally perform. So these are typical activity tasks for framing, drywall, and taping. Okay? If you're doing the exterior usually precedes interior. First thing that you do is you do layout. Okay, let's go out, snap, check light, you get everything measured out. Then the next is top track and clips. Top track's the top piece up, but if you need to put an additional piece in there to have it sit and attach to the structural steel. So top track and clips, you'll see it down here too. Top track and clips. Then they'll do infill framing, which sometimes is labeled on schedules just frame walls. There is usually a big gap in between top track and infill framing. We usually go put top track, and if the beams get fireproofed, we top track, then they get fireproof, then mechanical, electrical, fire sprinklers, do a bunch of work overhead. Then they call us like a month later and say, okay, now come in and frame the walls. And we'll come in and frame the walls. From the walls, then we'll Dense glass the wall. Once it's framed, everybody gets their stuff in. Then we put Dense glass on one side of the wall. Then you'll deal with what they refer to as the skin of the building or the cladding of the building. You're going to deal with waterproofing, glazing, lath and plaster, EIFS, stone, metal, any part of the building. You look at any of the buildings that are around here, you'll look and say, okay, look, that went on, and then there's a whole other set of activities that go on. Plywood. Now, how do you get to the outside of the building and access all the different parts of the building? You can do it from scissor lifts, GLGs. GLGs is a company, but it's a boom lift, extended articulating boom lift. We like to work off scaffold. Scaffold allows a large amount of people to get on and access versus 10 scissor lifts going up and down. You could just have, oh, everybody standing up on doing that. So this is here it says DENS after scaffold. So scaffolding is the predecessor going, look, we can't start till scaffold's put in. So if scaffold's not erected and put in, then that could delay this schedule to be able to do that. Then as we put all that stuff in, then they'll actually go in and do exterior ceilings and soffits, overhangs, things like that. We'll do some of that work. And again, we'll go in and clad it after that time. So then comes into durations. Layout is not it's critical to have work done, but it's not critical on the schedule. Our guys can go out and lay out because it's usually a small crew. It usually consists of 2 people. Go out, lay out. They measure and snap lines. They can do that when other people are working. So if somebody's working in that area, I can go lay out in this room. So they can find ways to get into the building and do all that, but they're going to need some information. This is where information is really critical for layout. We need to know measurements of fire extinguisher cabinets and window layouts and rough openings. And this is the pre-construction part. We're foremen are really digging in going, I have to know where all this is going to line up. So when I lay it out, when the team of people come through, they can just get it built quickly and easily. So this 10-day duration is usually ideal. So you got 2 weeks, get in here, you're going to have productive days, you're going to have less productive days, but that's for them to figure out. Top track, usually any framing activity, they usually block out a week, 5 working days. Okay, 5 working days for that. Then infill framing, the bottom track and the infilling of the studs. Framing the walls, 5 to 10 days. When you're dealing with exterior studs, they can be longer. You might need more crews because you might need people. Let's say it's a 30-foot wall. You might have 2 people up on top, catching the top of the stud, try to put it in the top, or people are 3 stories below, try to put it in the bottom, and then attach it in the middle. So exterior is a little bit different. It's bigger, heavier, thicker stuff to get that up and put in. And these are kind of durations. Now, in regards to your interiors, when you're on the interior side of the building, things get a little bit more elaborate. So these are just, again, some examples of, you can see that up here it's just layout, top track, infill, and then scaffolding, dense glass. When you deal with the interiors, you got layout, top track, and clips. Then you have what they have shafts. So on the interior part of the building, we're trying to coordinate with everybody. The mechanical and electrical are trying to put all their stuff in. So this is the part where everybody's trying to race to get all their stuff in. And we want to get our stuff in because you've got a clear open path. You can get your stuff built before everybody else gets their stuff built, which means you're more productive. If you've got a lot of stuff in your way, it's really congested, that means you're going to be less productive. So our guys usually are aggressively doing what they can to stay ahead of the other trades. So we always do layout and top track. Do that first. And then sometimes they'll even lay out on the bottom track. When they lay down the bottom track, if they do top track and bottom track, what happens is everybody rides their scissor lifts, they'll crush the track, and then we have to sit and knock it back open. And a lot of it's just a bunch of just little hassle kind of work, but it's to be expected that you can have 2 people fixing stuff while 4 people are just blazing through the project. So the foreman has different strategies in order to do that. When it comes to shafts are usually the mechanical ducts, everything comes through, and then they use the shaft to protect it, and it gets fire rated and everything up through the building. Because this shafts move vertically through the building, whereas all the walls and everything move horizontally. So we go floor by floor, whereas the vertical stuff, stairs, shafts, all go up. This is a little bit different in regards to job costing, because you can spend 2 hours on one floor, 2 hours on the next floor, 2 hours on the next floor, 2 hours on the next floor. Where do I code my time? Well, you have to code 2 hours to each floor because the way we've got it layered, it's like, wait, it's just one shaft. It should be 8 hours worth of work. So I have to use 4 different codes. That's one of the things that comes to budgeting in regards to shafts. Infill framing, that's top tracks up. You put the stud in, put the bottom screw it. You pop the shoot the track in, put the stud in, screw both sides of it, and continue through. That goes through an inspection. Inspections, when you're on hospitals or public work stuff, inspections are really critical in order to do this. In this example here with pre-rocking tubs, it did a lot of condo work, a lot of condo and apartment work. You have to go in and put drywall in behind before they can set the tubs. If the tubs come late, they usually require us to have everything prepped, so when they set their tubs, they can set it in. Then we put another layer of drywall on top of that, which is the tile backer board or Durarock, to put on top of that so they can flush out their tubs, because the tubs have a lip. It needs to go up against one, and then another layer of drywall to sandwich the lip together so water doesn't ever protrude past the tub. So they'll refer to that as pre-rock. Top out. You'll hear the word top out. Top out is you've framed the wall. Mechanical people need to get their stuff through openings, and you have to go and you have to put drywall up on top and get it caulked and fire rated, all the high work done, overhead work and high work done. So it allows everything to move. So when you come back through to do just the regular bottom parts of the wall, all you have to do is with the electrical boxes. Electrical boxes and outlets are down on the lower part of the wall. So you've done all your above ceiling work is all handled. Then you can come down below, and this is a lot more productive. So they'll refer to as top out, pre-rock, head of wall work. They'll do all that because it needs a certain level of inspections. Because fire heat rises, and that will be the weak point. All the heat will build up and penetrate through, so they really reinforce the top and the bottom of that. Sometimes they break it up as one-siding drywall. Drywall, gypsum board, sheetrock. One side just means that we're going to drywall one side of it, which will allow the insulator to put his on the other side, and then we'll do what they refer to as close up or second side drywall. Before you can close a wall up, you've got drywall one side, insulation. Is the framing done? Not completely. If there's backing in the wall, backing goes in behind the drywall. So to do backing, general contractors just call it backing, but usually we do a backing layout activity somewhere in there and say, okay, well, where's the backing going to be at? Is the cabinet going to be here, or the cabinet's going to be here? Is it the bottom of the cabinets, the uppers, lowers? So that way when they put their cabinets and they screw, they need a piece, something in between the studs they can grab onto and hold it. So backing has to be placed and laid out on the project so that everything will fit and come together. Then they put drywall, fire taping. Fire tape is just the first layer of tape. And they do caulking. Once they get that, they go, okay, everything's good. Then they'll release us to go through and finish doing, usually taping out the whole area. I've seen it done 2 different ways on projects. It's very common. So bring you to a certain level of taping, then you leave, you then come back in and do ceilings. So once you're done with the drywall, other trades have to come in, bring all their stuff and connect it all the way through. Electricians are pulling wire down through the outlets. They're getting everything prepped. Then we come back in and they've got stuff up in the soffit. Right, mechanicals got all their stuff. The room's all done. Everybody get out. Now we're going to come in, finish drywalling everything, and finish taping everything. So in this case, we were just going to tape once. We're just going to come in and go, look, we did kind of primary tape, and we're going to come in, everything's in, everything's rocked. Taper gets to go into one room and just knock the whole thing out. This can be a bit sporadic. Now, taping time, this says 20 days. The minimum amount of taping is 5 days. That's very aggressive because each layer of tape has to dry. Each level of topping compound has to dry. You can accelerate that by using what they refer to as hot mud, 20-minute hot mud, 10-minute hot mud, 40, but the quality goes down. They usually use hot mud for patching. So taping needs a certain duration in order to put that in to have it dry. Now this is where if you look at our estimates, they'll say the only other way to accelerate taping would be humidifiers and dehumidifiers, pulling moisture out of a room, fans, which we exclude. We're like, well, that's not us. Do you have to have temperature control in the room? In San Francisco, that's tough. If the building's not fully, windows aren't fully in, at night you get all the moisture coming in. The drywall will suck up all that moisture and will hold it in the walls. So when you try to put the next one, it's not going to be dry. So then you're going to get into situations like that. So taping is a little bit of finesse and getting tuned into where your taper's at. Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe did that. It was like, okay, they're taping. Oh, I just need another week, and another week, and another week, and another week. And just kept getting dragged out because there was trade damage and other little bits and bobs that just kept going on and on and on. Okay, any questions about activities? You got a sense of duration? Okay, now this is the part we're putting it to work. Okay, so I'm going to show you what we do here. I'm going to show you what I've set up for us to do, and then we're going to take some time to actually go do it. Okay, so on here, I've created a project schedule template. This project schedule template, so this is, I got this from someone that works in construction that they set up and used an Excel sheet to create a Gantt view and do very robust calculations. Okay, I'm just trying to look for our activities, our starts, and when you put in the duration, it will plan this out and put it on the calendar this way. And I'll show you what that looks like when you do it. So this template, you guys are going to go in, grab the template. You can make a copy of it, name it whatever your project name is. You'd say, okay, here's my guide dogs schedule, my, what's one of your projects? Davies Tower. You could do that schedule. You could pick a schedule, Zuckerberg or any other, to plug in and put in and start doing it. Now, on this particular sheet, all you need to do is, so let's work for left, right. Everything in blue, don't touch the blue. Blue has a lot of calculations in it, okay? So L, level. Level is not the level of your project. It's not the level of the floor. It's not anything like that. Level, this is we're saying what level do you want this activity? So you know how you have headers and then subtasks and subtasks? Your first task is going to be a level 1. If it's a subtask or a parent underneath it, that'd be level 2. And then if there's a task underneath that, level 3. And you'll see, so I'll show you some examples of that when we look at the thing. So that's where you would put, oh, this is going to happen on level 1, or is it going to be happening on level 2 of your Excel sheet? Just type in your task names. So when you're looking at a schedule, you want to go through and find your activities for your scope and just plug them into here. Say, okay, we're going to do this on this date, this on this date, this on this date, this on this date, and that should take, according to their schedule, about 5 days. And you type in 5 day in a duration, okay, or 5 space D. This recognizes both those. You put it in, and it'll calculate the end date, and it'll create a bar over here showing there. Now, one of the things to do is, because when we're in here, you'll see a bar here as it's trying to calculate the information. So be patient with it, because this is trying to do a lot of different things, and the different tabs do different things. We're not going to go into that. That's going to be a different training. Okay. So you're going to copy the template. You're going to rename it, fill it out, and you're going to start. You're going to put the activities. You're going to put the start, and you're going to put the duration. Okay, that's step 1 of the process. Next step of the process is you're going to go to DMS master schedule. So this is where you're going to copy the schedule that you created. You're going to copy and paste it over into the schedule. So here's an example of, it says working. Let me see. Okay. You'll see a gray bar here. Just trying to think. Okay. So example would be Los Medanos. Maybe we're working on Los Medanos. So level 1 was Los Medanos project. Level 2 was student union building. And this one. So there's 2 separate buildings, student union and physical education building. Underneath that, we have exterior and interior. And they put in, hey, this starts here. And there's usually a calculation duration. Still maybe trying to calculate, as you see up here. Just trying to pull that information in. When it does, all I did was said, okay, look, this is Los Medanos. Underneath that, I have these 2 buildings. Underneath that, I have level 1, and then exterior of level 1, interior of level 1, and then physical education, that. And these get truncated and hidden. You see over here with these little arrows? If I click those and open it up, this will expand to show you more of what's happening. That's why we're not seeing durations, because these are the header pieces, kind of like a summary bar. So in this case, I can show you here. Click here, opens it up. Here's the activities. Interior, frame west, frame east, frame soffits, drywall one side, drywall complete, and tape. These all have 15-day durations. This is when they start. So today is 5/16. We're supposed to start on the interior of level 1 of the student union building. This is all from the master schedule, which is the big picture view. So now this needs to be updated to say when we're actually going to do it, but I'm using it to give me a sense of time. When does this activity anticipated to end? So we're supposed to start framing the beginning of May here. And I try to look to see, these 2 are starting at the same time. How can I start on the east and west at the same time? Oh, I have to have 2 crews. I have to have people over here and people over here. Okay, these 2 are starting. This one is going to be, east is going to get done before west. Why is that? Maybe it's a shorter side of the building or something like that. You just get kind of a sense of it. Then they're going to exterior JIP west on 6/5. And it's going to end 6/13. So there's going to be 2 weeks that when we're on the west, we're going to stop and we're going to jump in over here. Now, on the east, they're going to start, they're going to stop, and they're going to go over here on the east side, and they're going to complete. So if I had 2 crews, is that making sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way this looks is going, oh, I'm going to have a crew starting. Okay, so Vanessa, you're going to start on the west. You're going to start, and you're going to be done on the 17th. Allison, you're going to start on the east. You're going to go here to here. Well, what happens at the end of that? Are you going to get fired, laid off, your work's done? Well, there's more activities. Well, when's the next activity start? This is where Dave Lazier's going, okay, now you guys are done with that. I need to put you on another project. What do I do? I got to keep you guys working. I need you to focus someplace else. So he's shifting manpower all the time, going, when's it start? When does it stop? What else can we have him be doing? Vanessa, who's on the west, sorry, on the east. No, wait, who? She was,
on the east, Vanessa's on the west.
okay, Vanessa's on the west. Vanessa, we don't have work for you. Go stay at home. No paycheck, no nothing. And then we'll start you back on 6/5. So she stays home for 2 weeks. Meanwhile, you're on the east. You go from here to the 15th. Well, the 16th, you can start, as soon as you get done framing, you can start Dens glassing. So you start Dens glassing all the way to the 24th. Now, after the 24th, you're done, right? According to this, okay, look, you're done. So I've got a full month of work for you. You're going to do 2 weeks, then wait 2 weeks, and come back and do 2 more weeks worth of work. Which can be really, you're like, look, I'm trying to get a steady paycheck, trying to make sure things go on. So that's why looking at the project and understanding how it's going to flow and managing your manpower to go, how am I going to take and put all this together? So that's just that one part. Then you got to look at the activities on the interior. This starts on 5/16, this starts on 5/16, this starts on 5/18. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to leave the outside of the building, you're going to go to the inside of the building and start doing work because there's work available here. So looking at the schedule kind of tells you the story of what the plan is or what people are thinking, going, here's the dates that we need to hit. What's happening on the east, what's happening on the west. Oh, everybody needs to be done by these dates. It kind of tells you the story. If you plug it in, when you look at all these data, it's a little hard to kind of see and comprehend. Hence why we look at the Gantt chart. So the Gantt chart says, okay, activity start, stop, then there's this one activity. So where team 1 goes home, team 2 can stay and work on this, but then there's this gap here. Then they can jump down and do this activity, then there's a gap here for 4 weeks, then they start here. These gaps is what Dave Legier is trying to figure out. Where's men? How do I put them? Do I go slower here so this takes longer to do so that these two are all connected? Is there a reason? What's going to happen? Am I going to delay other people? Are there other dependencies? So that's what we're trying to look at from a Gantt view, which is hard for me to comprehend from this view, that I can look and say, okay, why? Ideally, we want all there to just be link after link after link after link after link. What we don't want is a whole bunch of them stacked on top of each other and then nothing behind it. Hi, we need to hire 100 people, get it all done, lay them all off because there's nothing to do. So this gives me that view to look and comprehend going, it gives me a sense of the flow of the project. Now, you don't have to get too consumed with it as the project moves and is flexible, and our guys will make agreements and say, well, can I do this? They will find work because they want a paycheck. So they'll go, that's not available. Can I do that? Doesn't necessarily mean it's productive. And this is where things compound. Hey, I know that everybody's working in this room. Can I work in this room? John contractor, sure, why not? Okay, so I'm going to jump ahead of schedule here. But what do I need in order to do work? I have to have, well, money, and what else do I have to have? I have to have
material.
I have to have material. I have to have material to build with. So if I ordered out that room and said, oh, I got enough parts and pieces for that room, but I'm jumping to this room, do I have enough parts and pieces over here?
Why not?
Because I ordered that. Oh, wait. So this is where our guys, Dave Legier, you need to order X, Y, and Z, and I need it here tomorrow. And he's, well, there's a 4-week lead time. This is where pre-planning is really critical. So I'm focusing on with our teams to go, look, you got to be planning this stuff out, because if that's stuck, is there material sitting someplace that you can pick up that material, but now you're going to start shuffling orders. Okay, I ordered 100 pieces for that. If I take those 100 pieces and I start building here to keep our guys working so we make sure we have a paycheck, oh shit, I got to remember to put in the order for the 100 pieces for there, but this needed 120 pieces, but at least it got started. Can I just get 20? And they have to start shuffling, and it gets a little bit chaotic. So that's why you might see guys either put in big orders, but if the place doesn't have a laydown area for them to store it, it's really critical. So they have to have materials laying around. Where they put the materials is called the boneyard. It's like, wait, where's the boneyard? We saw it out at Central when I was out walking around. Like, here's all the material out here, so that there's material available to keep everybody working. Because if they run out, these guys aren't being that productive, and people go home without a full day's worth of work, and it's cost them money. So this helps us do that. So if you can go into your project, so I've got in orange, I'm putting, here's current health, which I can expand that out. Current health is a pretty elaborate one. Okay. current health, this is what we saw in regards to current health, big picture view. It doesn't go past December here. I think it might elaborate more. Spray on fireproofing, which is not, it's our scope under our contract, but we're subbing it out. They're going to start that first, then the exterior framing, erecting the scaffold. This is the header. See, it's in black, put it in black. So we're going to do scaffold, exterior framing, rigid installation, and dense glass. If I look, are they all start to end? Okay, this ends 6/29. That starts about, the next day or 2 days after, depending on the weekend. It's close enough. 8/13 to here. These are about 2 to 3 weeks apart. So that's a big gap, and I can see that here. There's the 2 or 3 weeks apart here. Okay, then it's going to happen. Then the plaster happens. There's laugh. And we want to see a nice stair step like that. Go ding, 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 just like that, so everything flows. Gaps are usually not the best for us because we have to fill in those gaps. But other trades are working. Just because there's a gap doesn't mean there's other activities going on in the project, just not our activities. So managing where those starts and stops are is really critical. The other piece the schedule is telling me that if you understand what is going on, procuring material has to happen before this, which isn't on this schedule. It doesn't say, well, in order for me to do that, I have to make the agreement with their scaffold company, get it set up, get it insurances and all that stuff set up for them to perform. We had to order their exterior material. What's the lead time right now for framing material?
4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. So you could use and go order material as a predecessor to this. Go, I need to be ordering up here. Okay, that's what we're having on Los McDonald's right now. We're literally ordering. We're not going to be out there for another month. We've got to get the material ordered and set and ready because there's so much happening. Our foreman's ability to be able to do that, understand, read schedules, pre-plan, get ahead. There's another piece. So project manager manages time, information. So there are RFIs, there's things going to delay this. And what's the last piece? Money. What's our biggest cost? Labor. This tells you where you're going to spend money. My guys are working here, 2 guys, 5 guys, 10 guys, however it is. That's your money. You're going, oh, our guys are building. Money's going out. If money's going out, then I need to have money coming in. So my billing's going to follow this schedule. Money out, money in. That's what's going to happen right here. It's like, okay, this tells you when you're going to spend money and when you need to be bringing in. In the month of July, we're going to have all this. Question?
Just going back to the ordering material, is there a way like you can set these schedules up where it says, hey, in 4 to 6 weeks, we're starting this, make sure your material's ordered? Like an alert or anything on the schedules?
Yes, there is a way.
Like a reminder?
Yeah, like a reminder that pops up, hey, this starts in 4 to 6 weeks, make sure you get your material ordered.
Yes, there is a way.
Okay.
There's a way to do that. It depends on what you're using to notify you. Like I said, if you're using emails, you can go into your calendar and just look at this and put it on your calendar. If you wanted this Excel sheet to talk to you, there's a way that we could build a macro so that it could do that. Different programs do that. If you wanted a text, like I said, there depends on which way you want to be notified. But there's ways to do it. Now, as we're looking at this, you will see on this particular schedule here, you see this, remember I said don't touch the blue? This is telling you that this schedule should be complete and this one's still ongoing. Here starts 5/16, be completed 5/24. Today's not 5/24, so it's saying, hey, you're about this far along in the process, whereas this one started 5/2 and ended 5/15. This one's done. So this gives you a visual representation of, well, how far am I along on the progress? Am I 50% done? So on and so forth. Again, this is an elaborate sheet. We can use different ones. Just this was the one that I got from a construction guy. He does YouTube videos for free, and it's collaborative. It allows all of us to work in at the same time. Microsoft Project is there now. They're trying to do some collaborative stuff, but the P6, I don't think it's collaborative. Only one person can do it at a time. Okay. But yeah, there's something there to say, okay, look, send us alerts. You can also, because it's an Excel sheet, you can copy and paste and you in your schedules, in your Google sheet, or sorry, Google's calendars, you can import. You can import. Say, I want these sheets. I want these cells to be imported, and it'll import this in and can create kind of Gantt charts for you there. Like I said, we're pioneering on this, so. Like I said, I'm very familiar with this. This works, so I just like for you to get familiar. This isn't, like I said, this can be a lot of heavy lifting. But if you just practice and start to get familiar with what is the schedule trying to show me and tell me, is there any big flags? You start to look for it, you'll see it. In regards to current health, when I did this with Chelsea, the plaster scope is $2 million worth of work right here. This is $2 million worth of work. It's going to happen from, I'm going to call it, it's from July, August, September, October, all the way to end of November. So you got $2 million happening in 4 months. It's like, okay, that's $500,000 a month. And most of this isn't us. It's our sub. It's like, okay, $2 million. Schmidt, you're going to pull out a $2 million check and pay them? And we're asking for the money to come in, and we're making a certain percentage on that. That's why it's like, wait, how is this going to cash flow in order to do this? So that step one, grab your templates, upload, create one for each of your projects, then copy, and we'll paste them into here. I've already created some, so this is the part where you'll look and see, is mine in here? Do I need to update? What's that looking at? Do I have a sense of flow? I went and did Central, and here's Central, and this example would be here Central. These are all past, because we're here right now. This is the week that we're in. This is kind of the flow, and you'll see a pattern. Oh, this is going to go this way. This is going to go this way. And this is going to go. And now we should be starting down here on building C. But as we both all know, per the one meeting, he's saying, look, we need to be doing some framing. We can't frame on the first floor. This was supposed to happen a month ago. So the schedule has slipped, which is why you wrote the delay notice saying, hey, the schedule slipped and we are behind. Okay, then the third component, is when you've got a sense of your schedule, you come here. So now that we have a sense of the schedule, who's the one, who else needs to know about the schedule? If everybody here in the office knows about the schedule, who's the critical person that needs to know about the schedule? Say again? In the field, that's right. Who's in charge of the field? Dave Legier. So he needs to be able to see all the projects because he doesn't know when they start and stop. So I created a simple version of the project schedules and manpower forecast. If you know your project, when it starts and stops, you can come in here and put in your estimated start, estimated stop, and the duration. You just plug in these three numbers, which is different than the other Excel. So you put it in here, and you'll have to cut, and you'll have to pick and say, well, when's that going to happen? When's it going to start? January, February, March. Again, this is rough. So this is not meant to be exact. But what this sheet does is that for each one of your projects, you say, well, this is when it's going to start, this is when it's going to end, or with Davies South Tower, I don't see it on here. But if it did, you'd have a chunk here, chunk here, chunk here, and a chunk here, or a bar of activities here, here, and here, because there's four phases. And you would put the amount of manpower you need. Now, the question will then arise, well, how much manpower should I allocate for it? Anytime our guys are out in the field, they usually are 2 people. So they always work in crews. So the minimum is you can put 2 across the board. And then as we look at the activities, when you go, okay, well, when do I get into framing? You're like, look, our guys mostly operate with 2 to 4 man crews. If it gets more elaborate than that, like big projects like Central, they'll use 10 man. And I'll train you guys on how to be able to anticipate that once we start getting to budgeting and other things. But with that, you can just plug in and put, well, this is how many guys we need to be having in sense of flow. If you're putting 2, in this case, I just put 4 guys everywhere. So there's 4. Here's 7 guys working here. Then it goes down to 4. And I did this just by week. So you don't have to put it every day. You just go, okay, every week, because an activity is usually a week. They have 5 days for framing. And I go, okay, that's framing. That's top track. That's framing infill wall. That's drywall. That's taping, let's say. and taping's usually 2 weeks. So I just look and I'll put that on there. When you put this on here, one, it gives Dave Legier a sense of, okay, what's happening May? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that was 6. 6 jobs are active. Okay, when you put the numbers in here, all these numbers add up to total in here. So he's like, okay, now we can see these are the totals of how many men are actually working on the field. When you total all that up, what I did to make sense of all that, because you know me and being visual, here's the representation of what the weeks look like. We had beyond 60 here, then it dropped down, then it drops down, then we go low, and this is where this referred to as spiking your manpower. Hiring a bunch of people, then letting them go, whoa, okay, and then we got to hire them back. And so you would massage this through so that it looks a little more kind of plateau. You want to create a little more consistency. If there's a big spike, you're saying, okay, we need to spread that out over the next 3 weeks, and we need to tell the general contractors. Well, we need to tell Dave Legier. Dave Legier will figure out with the general contractors what's going to happen because things move. But this gives you a projection of where we're going to be at. Now, this is helpful to the field. It's helpful to Dave Legier because he's going to go, okay, well, whoa, I need to figure something here. Do I need to carry people? Do I need to put them on a certain project? Like right now we're at the verge of Sutter's getting complete. Sutter's complete, and like 3 other projects are getting complete. Where do we move those men? We got to move them someplace. Where do we move them to? That's what Dave Legier's, his whole job, what makes us successful is his ability to do that. Where do I put men? How do I keep them working? How do I keep them here? How do I keep them happy? Here's vests. Here's training. How do I keep them moving? Keep them working paycheck? Because as soon as they stop working, they're working someplace else, like the same day. Because they need to have a steady pay. There's plenty of work. Look, you don't got work, and no harm. They're fine. Just say, I'll come work here. So he has to manage that manpower to create flow. This is one of the tools I use to do that. I'm trying to update that for every single project. I go, this is where project management can help out a little bit by actually putting some of this stuff in to do that. And as we do that, you will help the field. Who else will this help?
Office.
The office. You can say more about the office and Schmidt.
Forecasting money.
Forecasting money. You'll know where your highs and lows are at. Who's another team that helps out? Where the people that land work. Estimator. So if you had this big chart, you go, okay, look, we have no work here. I need to be landing a job that starts right here. Right. I got to be targeting a job that starts at this point in time. In 2019, we've got all these guys working, and then we take this huge dip. I need to find, in this case, there's no huge dip here. But if I change some of the numbers around, you can see where it goes 18, 22.
Well, the week's like 8 to 10. So week 8, you have a decent amount of people, and you have to lay everyone off and rehire them again.
Correct. And we wouldn't do that, which means that we're going to carry these guys for that week, but they may not be as productive. And is there material there? If you bring these 8 guys over to this one job, let's take a look at that. What does week 9 look like? You can come back over here. Week number 9 right here. All right. Central. Only the framers were working out at Central. No other job was going. Kuwait wasn't going. The way this was laid out, you're like, oh, okay, those guys are going to carry through. There's nothing else going on. Where do we massage them? How do we do it? Because Guide Dogs wasn't going, like Tahoe wasn't going. This is back in March. This is right when I probably didn't have the most accurate information, but I was plugging in to make sure all the formulas work, say where are all these different teams working so that I could see. Sheet 1 is a more simplified version because you don't have to designate between framers, hangers, and tapers. I was used to dealing with large crews where I'm like, I got 10 guys on that team, 10 guys on that team. What are the drywallers doing different than the framer? Framers are usually up further in the building. Drywallers come behind them, and then tapers come behind them. Here, our company, we're one-stop shop. We're kind of doing it all. And so because we're doing it all, it's like, oh, I don't have to worry about trying to manage different teams. I go, okay, look, there's enough. If you get done framing, run downstairs, do drywall. When you get done with drywall, jump on the taping, and they can fill it in. So I just put it all as just framers or carpenters. They say, oh, you got 4 guys working for this long. So I work with Dave Legier on this and say, well, where's this actually at? And this is where I can get him to have him train us, saying, how do you plan this? Let me get into your mindset of how do you spread that? This job's going, that job's going. CMD, which is now $7 million, current $6 million. When's that going to happen? When are these activities going to go on? So he can forecast, and his ability to now see, where am I going to put men? So can you see, when you look at your schedules, creating your schedule gives visibility to us, gives visibility to finance, gives visibility to Schmidt, gives visibility to Dave Legier, and it gives ability to estimators to go, okay, look, where are we at as a company, and where are we going to, where are we spiking, and where are we're going to go low. Schedule is critical to look to see what's going on. So this is what the scheduling is all about. Back to my presentation. See if I skipped it. So what you will do is, once you get a sense of your schedule of your project, because we're about to do that for like 10, 15 minutes, we'll break out. Go grab a project. We'll work through it. So we work through that. I'll answer any questions you got, identifying your scopes activities, breaking down your project so you can do that, and then updating each one of these sheets. I've shared all these sheets with you, so you'll just need to know the names of them. Go, okay, I got to take the schedule template. I need to make my own. Then from there, I need to update from the schedule template into the master, DMS master schedule. So this is the part where your individual project, you go, I have to give this to the team so we can get an overview of the whole company. Oh, here's the whole company, the master schedule, to see everything that's going on in the company. From there, I need to jump in and I need to let the field know, which is the manpower forecast. Oh, hey, look, you're not even going to start till July. Helps them know. That's what Dave Legier keeps getting blindsided by all these projects. Going, it starts tomorrow. What's the scope? That's why I've been doing project notifications. Mm-hmm. Hey, this is when the job's anticipated to start. Here's what's going on. So we all have some visibility. Okay? Let's see what's next. Next, when we come back, we'll get into pull planning. And we'll do a demonstration of how pull planning works. Okay? Okay, well, I'm just going to get this to the share screen.
In the beginning, it looked like only Allison was here because the Rachel's not over here. She's like, I see myself.
All right, so now we're going to talk about pull planning. So let's jump into what is pull planning. Okay, pull planning. So from a high-level view, starting out, the first thing that they do is they start out with planning. You do the master plan. So this is the master schedule, and it's what you should do in order to hit the marks. They're looking at the level of the first planner, they're looking at the schedule, and they're doing pull sessions. They're setting milestones. So again, this is a big picture, put the big rocks in. Then the next level down is they go, well, what can we do? This is the look-ahead plan. They usually do it monthly or bi-monthly. They're checking in and saying, okay, we got the big rocks, now we're getting the little rocks. Is everything moving the way we need to do? And then you have the weekly plan. This is where our foreman and the superintendents out in the field give it this going, well, this was what we should do. This is what it's capable of doing. Now, will we do it? Can we actually perform on it? And this is where you're making promises and you're making commitments in regards to, okay, I'll do this at this time if you do this at this time. And then after you've completed your work, you go into your weekly control of did. This is sometimes called a postmortem, or your actuals. Hey, this is what we plan to do, what happened, and then you do a feedback loop to go, well, this is the way things are trending and going, and how's that happening? The last planner system, this is the way the trend's going, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. The last planner system, as you saw in the previous slide, these are the first planners. So who are the last planners? The last planners are the people that are actually doing the work. And so that's where you want the input, because that's where the rubber meets the road, or when we're actually building stuff to nuance to be successful or not. So the last planner system incorporates lean into construction planning with collaborative approach between planners and site foremen. Is the plan. So this is the office and the field coming together to go, how are we actually going to do this? This is the strategy and what can be done and not done based upon resources, constraints. in doing that. So as you see here, the master schedule, set milestone key dates. This is the should do phase, can do, and the make ready work. Then you get into your weekly work plan. You do progress tracking, and then the cycle just keeps continuing over and over, and then this keeps feeding down into it while this works. So this last planner system is part of the lean construction lingo, so you'll hear it that way, but other people are using it. So you'll see it like this. Remember I said here's your milestones. We're going to create milestones, and then you begin to work backwards. You go, okay, here's my milestones. What needs to happen before that? So here's the milestones with activities before it and how they're related to each other. And then make ready planning is you actually put it on and go, well, this is week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. So all this was just concept. And you kind of put it in like an ordered sequence. This is where you're actually putting time to it. And then from there, you get a weekly work plan, which is where you're Monday through Friday. So you're zoomed in even more. This is a month view into, say, what activity is actually happening. And then your commitment management. Is it complete, not complete, or ongoing? At the VNGC hospital, we did this for, I think it was, we were going to have 2,000 people out in the field. We were trying to track over, I think, something like 7,000 different activities happening at the same time. So teams of people all looking, and there's a report. So you promised that you would have this ready by this time. There's a thing where they hand over. It's like, okay, so it's called make ready work. This is where I started to do a little rub, was that the drywall was supposed to be installed completely so that the electrician could come in and start putting on their trim rings. It wasn't ready, but the schedule says it was, and that's why I said, look, there's a breakdown. I can't promise to do that. Your schedule is, you need to show that this isn't ready, this isn't working. But if it was ready, I had, let's say, 5 days of activity. I got my work done in my 5 days. I'm complete. I would have 100% PPC, percentage promise complete. How many promises did I make, and how many did I complete on? I mean, the goal would be to be 100, but we're human beings and stuff comes up and all that. So you're trying to increase your rate of reliability. Right now, construction's 33%, meaning you're more likely not to do stuff than to do stuff. 2 out of 3 times, you're not going to do what you said you're going to do. Only 1 out of 3 you'll do it, which doesn't build a lot of confidence in our industry, doesn't build a lot of confidence for owners to go, why do I hire you? If you can get your reliability up with a team to get it up, because there's so many variables, if you can work as a team to get it complete, you're able to do that. So they have a whole tracking mechanism. It says what promised you, what didn't get complete, and there was a report that we did every single week. So that's kind of the overview of what that looks like. This is usually done with Post-it notes. So you'll see if you look on the images for pull planning, you'll see Post-it notes. Different colors represent different things. So this is at this level here, make ready work, where all this with milestones and stickies and who's doing what, where, when, how that's going. And they'll have entire walls. When we went out to SF Hotel, they had a whole job site trailer the size of this office. All the walls were covered in this. Yeah. That it was like which phase of which, that's the air train, there's this. They are planning, going what's happening, because you're trying to manage money, you're trying to manage activities, what's going to be the showstopper.
It seems like that's a theme too when you walk in any of the job site trailers. They have a whole whiteboard and a whole calendar with sticky notes or scheduling stuff that's going on the lawn. It's like crossed out, added things in. It looks like someone's sitting there all day just planning out an entire
like a conspiracy theorist.
Yes. So general contractors that will hire schedulers. So that's your whole job. It's just to manage the schedule. Because you saw from what it is to put in the starts and the durations and the this and the that, and there's another activity and this and that.
And here something changed.
And then PCO and this gets delayed and that's on hold and continues. It's a lot to keep an overview for a large project. So what they've now done is there's software. So you know how you put all these Post-it notes? And you say, well, what if there was a software that allowed you to do virtual Post-it notes? You did Post-it notes and you could link stuff. So now you could say, well, if I do this on the first floor, I could copy and paste and put that on the second floor and the third floor, same sets of activities. And when I mark it complete, it goes and feeds into a report that says, you're done. Instead of me taking this off and someone track, okay, how many are in the done pile, how many are not in the done pile, you click and it can send out emails, correspond, update, you do the plan, do that. So touch plan and vPlanner. So I had to learn this when I was at the hospital. I'd never done, I was like, whoa, this is a lot. And I learned how to create this. Then I trained people on how to use this. So vPlanner, they're a new software company. Then I got in touch with this other one through a different connection. This is available on computers. It's not available on mobile devices. So it didn't allow our foreman in the field to commit to things. So even though you had a task, it's like, well, do you commit to it? What's your workload? You're like, you got 10 items. You're like, I can't take 10. I can only take 5. That's where you commit, and then you replan. Touch Plan allows you to do it, and we can get a free trial if we wanted to try to play around with it for ourselves. I don't think we're at that level yet, but in the future, Touch Plan, you do it. I know the people over there, talk to them, they have it on iPads, and it's like, wow, you can plan out all kinds of stuff for your company, for projects. I think it's like $15 a month per user. You know, it's fairly inexpensive, but you put it on there, learning how to use it, and it'll tell you what are your milestones, what's at risk, what's all that, and you can do it for your business, you can do it for all kinds of stuff. But you can see over here, this list of Post-it notes, here's your weeks. You can see all your different activities that are going on. This is what it looks like. So when you do this, it virtually, it shows you all the relationships that here's the milestone. It says tool set finish, construction, SL1 construction set. These are the downstream customers that are trying to pull to this, that this whole row, the electrician, the mechanical, gas, all this is trying to get these 4 activities done previous to this. They might have different durations. Each one of these Post-it notes has 7 different areas for information. This tells you there's a predecessor. This tells you if it's critical. This tells you the ID number and the duration. This tells you if it's a finish to finish, finish to start to start. It'll tell you the duration. It'll tell you if it's late. Like this Post-it note, virtual Post-it note, had all this information around the border. And you'd walk up, you could understand everything there was about that activity. Whereas it is on a Gantt chart, you're just seeing frame, very set frame. It's running late, it's behind, what's the progress, what's the predecessor to it, and you have to follow the line up on some other sheet. You could say, I want to see this, and it would reorganize your Post-it notes. You say, I only want to see my Post-it notes. I want to see Post-it notes that are associated to me, that are my predecessors. So you could manage all this data. So you could see that scheduling is getting more sophisticated. They'd use terms as upstream, your further upstream, downstream customers. So they related it to is like, I need to have this work ready because you're the downstream customer, and I have to hit your conditions of satisfaction. So even though I did, let's say, sloppy work, you could say, I'm not accepting it. I'm not going to go unless I did this, because it creates a collaborative environment. Whereas in the past, general contractors would just get it done. Just don't worry about it. Just get it done. But when that it starts to break down that. So you'd have conditions of satisfaction, which are very healthy, mature conversations to have, because now you're not in this adversarial battling mode. You're just like, it's not acceptable. Don't get me wrong. You get a little nitpicky. There's a little thing here. I'm not going to go. What do you mean you're not going to go? You're going to jeopardize. Hold on. What's going on? I don't have the resources. And so it was a different mindset to play nice with other people and get clear, because everybody's trying to optimize themselves as a company versus optimizing the whole. It's a very different mindset. So a lot of retraining. So let's try pull planning. Let me show you this video first. We'll actually do pull planning. Let's see if it clicks here.
Should we do more?
At the beginning of the project, everyone signed off on the schedule. The money was there, it didn't rain, the materials were delivered. Every day was accounted for. So you should have finished on time and made the money you expected to make, right? So what happened? On a typical construction project, the handoff of work often isn't reliable and flow of production is not steady. The dates and durations of the schedule are determined by a few people who aren't involved with the day-to-day tasks. Your team needs to consider the handling of work. information and materials, your resources, far enough upstream to identify and eliminate issues that interrupt workflow or stop the job. Phased pole planning, part of the last planner system, guides the people who do the work to plan the work. Rich Seiler of Unified Works explains the process.
To kick off the implementation of the last planner system, we start with phase pole planning. This is where we take a target condition out into the future, typically somewhere between 12 and 16 weeks, and we take it off the master schedule. The team decides this is what we're going to shoot at, and we put that up as our target. We actually work our way back. This is all the work that we absolutely should do in order to meet our contract obligations. We have our master schedule, which everybody has in their contract. Now we take a chunk of that at a time, small batches at a time, and we actually pull that back to determine what the team actually thinks it's going to take to get that work done.
And this pattern of phase pole planning is repeated as necessary for each phase of work or target condition. First, we plan. Then we do what was planned. Then we check the work to make sure it went according to plan. We make sure that for every phase, the work we said should be completed was completed. And if not, we act to assess why. The continuous, detailed review of planned and completed work creates opportunities to eliminate waste and add value, the two key principles of the lean construction process. So what are the benefits of doing a phase pole plan for your project? Phase pole planning identifies and removes constraints that block work from being completed as scheduled, promotes the efficient handoff of work, eliminates reworks and surprises, makes everyone accountable for not just their work, but for the overall project, eliminates unnecessary stress on the job site, allows everyone to make the money they planned for.
So what does it take to have a successful phase pole session? A couple key components is you need to have all the people in the room that are involved in the project for that particular planning horizon. Everybody has to be there prepared to go to work. They have to have an understanding of the project. It should take some time to prepare for the phase or the milestone or the target condition that we're going to be examining. All people have to come to the room prepared with an open mind. Also, to do something differently, to be collaborative, to provide input. We're looking for people to say the difficult things that we tend not to say. We're trying to open dialogue and get everybody moving in the same direction. We need a good facilitator, somebody that can help keep the process moving, somebody that understands the process. That's very important that we have somebody there, some coaching. It comes through coach repetition until such time as the team can kind of be self-performing. The benefits that you could quickly expect to get out of phase pole plan is you'll find quickly that the team starts to talk. The team starts to understand that we're all in this together. It isn't you against me, or it's not an adversarial scenario, but we're all in this together, and really starts to look at the project as a whole as opposed to individual contracts or individual scopes of work. Another benefit quickly that we get out of the phase pole plan is everybody understands a particular time frame of work. They can plan for their resources better. They can plan for their manpower, their materials, their long lead items. All those things become more apparent. So the bottom line of a phase pole plan is a great way to kick off a team to move in the right direction about doing something better and different.
So let's jump into pole planning, then we'll take a look at some other additional resources after this.
By now,
Okay, so let's just jump over here to this other resource. So we watched phase pole planning, the value of pole planning. Let's jump over here to the website, Lean Construction Institute. Let's watch this.
Hello, my name is Dan Heinemeyer. I'm the Executive Director with the Lean Construction Institute. We are a membership-based organization that is in business to transform the design and construction industries, and we take that mission very seriously. We believe transformation is critical because this industry is so critical to our national economic strength. Unfortunately, the industry's productivity has been stagnating and even declining over recent decades in the face of real productivity gains and other major.
So I'm pausing this for a reason. They've tracked since 1950 to 2010 to where we're currently at. The labor statistics and something else tracks this. This is okay, well, how productive we were in 1950. We had limited resources on stuff. And as industrialization came along, information age has changed and has started to peak and went through. Now it's spiking up here. Manufacturing has improved. Utilities and agricultural has improved over the years. Transportation and warehousing has gradually been improving. Health and social, education. Here's construction. 1960s and 70s, there's a big industrial boom, doing more. They were improving the processes and then stagnating. This is where construction's at. And they've done studies upon studies of different industries and said, if you stay here, you become obsolete. That's why they're building modular homes and robots are building stuff. Like, there's so much stuff going, look, construction industry is going to take a huge hit if we don't start moving to improve this, to become better at our productivity, our reliability. Because people go, why am I buying from you? I'll just go get the robots to do it. So that, and you can see where education's at. Our education has not improved. It's stabilized over the years. It's the same education from 1950s there. It's like, there's something big brewing in regards to this.
Major industries. We advocate the use of a variety of tools and techniques geared towards making construction projects more collaborative and better able to meet the needs of the owners who contract for them. But this is not just some touchy-feely, toolbox-based approach to getting people to work together in harmony. Far from it. It's actually grounded in the scientific method of plan, do, check, adjust, and in a basic understanding of human nature and how teams can work together better to identify and eliminate waste and enhance value for owners. Judging from the growth in our membership and programs in just the last 3 years, we're seeing more and more design and construction firms and owner organizations turning to lean construction as a way to break the cycle of productivity decline while enhancing safety and unlocking value in projects. I'm here to announce the kickoff of a video series we've developed in which you will hear from a variety of organizations who've embraced lean on their projects. They will talk about some of the key lean techniques, how they benefit project participants, and how you can learn more as you consider embarking on your own lean journey. LCI offers a variety of programs, publications, and very practical help that we make available through our conferences, meetings, and webinars. We also have a network of communities of practice that serve as chapters across the country in major construction markets. And you can take advantage of their expertise, whether you belong to LCI or not. So let me encourage you to come and learn with us, hear from your peers about their lean journeys, and see if lean design and construction can transform your projects, as it has hundreds of others across the country and literally around the globe. Thanks for listening. And if we can be of help to you in any way in your own lean transformation, please let us hear from you.
Conference.
So that is full planning, scheduling, big overview of all those things. If you have any questions or comments, again, there's another video here about the value, and then questions and answers. Any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
We incorporate this now. We should be planning like this weekly with all of our projects in terms of startups. We should have meetings like this more often.
That's something for us to look at, that looking at when a job starts up, all the activities, because the workload right now with the team that we got is immense.
Right.
It's like, whoa, okay, who's doing what? We saw that with the job starts, like, which project am I assigned to so I know which activities that I can take on. So that's where the job starts sheet will be able to help guide us, say, okay, here's what we're doing with these activities for the team, so we're clear what's expected for me to complete this task. What the schedule says done, what does that mean done? It's uploaded in these 3 spots. So we're developing a large amount of those pieces. So we have to look at the workload and be able to plan that out. So that's the part where you and I, Chelsea, is planning, because they're the downstream customers. We have to plan to get things set up as well as the field. We have to set Dave Legier up for success. We have to set project managers up for success. It's like, oh, when the contracts are coming, utilizing the estimators, well, what do we need to do further upstream going to help us serve, because there's going to be more of them than us. It's like we got to feed all these people with information to set them up successfully.
So Saturdays, we are shakes and pole planning every Saturday.
Well, and project managers meeting, and are we on track? Because there's a part of going, we planned it, then there's the doing. And that's what they did. So they would have daily huddles. That's what the morning huddles would. What's the hot topics? What's later that? If something's in your way and you can't do it, it's referred to being constrained. What activity is constrained? I can't go until they go. I can't do anything with a contract until somebody signs the contract. Like, I'm stuck. I'm not working on that. I'm going to go work on something else until that moves. So this is that part we're working together to see that, to say how many activities. Okay, that's now released. Now, okay, now I can get this going. And we're dealing with some of that, being able to see the whole picture and the whole world. Because it's all tied to go, well, project management is also be doing billing. Or helping out with getting information personally. Any more questions? Or all right. Thanks, everybody.